When your world crumbles under betrayal, rebuilding feels impossible. This story follows a man blindsided by his wife and best friend's affair, fighting through heartbreak to reclaim his strength and family. His journey is raw and inspiring. My name's Daniel Reed, 38, living in Boise, Idaho. I'm a high school math teacher, or at least I was before everything went to hell. I grew up in a small town, raised by parents who taught me loyalty and hard work, married my college sweetheart, Lauren, at 25, and we built a life together, two kids, Mia 10 and Lucas 7, a modest house with a big backyard, and what I thought was a solid circle of friends. My best friend, Matt, was like a brother. We met in college, bonded over late-night study sessions and bad pizza. He was the best man at our wedding, godfather to our kids. Life wasn't perfect, but it felt stable. I coached Mia's soccer team, helped Lucas with his Lego obsession, and planned date nights with Lauren to keep the spark alive. Teaching paid enough to cover the mortgage, but Lauren's job as a marketing consultant brought in the real money. We were a team, or so I thought. Looking back, I missed the cracks forming, late nights at her office, Matt's too frequent visits. I trusted them both completely. That trust shattered one Tuesday afternoon when I came home early from work. I'd been grading papers all morning, my eyes burning from staring at algebra tests. A parent-teacher conference got canceled, so I figured I'd surprise Lauren with lunch. She'd been distant lately, blaming work stress, and I wanted to check in. I pulled into our driveway, noticed Matt's truck parked out front. Odd, but not alarming. He'd stop by sometimes to borrow tools or drop off something for the kids. I walked through the front door, expecting to hear them chatting in the kitchen. Instead, the house was quiet, except for a faint noise from upstairs. My stomach twisted. I climbed the stairs, heart pounding, and pushed open our bedroom door. There they were, Lauren and Matt, tangled in our bed, oblivious until I dropped my keys. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Lauren screamed, scrambling to cover herself. Matt just stared, pale as a ghost. "Daniel, it's not," Lauren started, but I was already gone, stumbling back to my car, my world collapsing. I drove aimlessly for hours. Their faces burned into my mind. How long had this been going on? How could they do this? I thought of Mia and Lucas, their innocent smiles, and felt sick knowing our family was about to break. I didn't confront them right away. I couldn't. I checked into a cheap motel that night, ignoring Lauren's texts and calls. My phone buzzed with excuses. It was a mistake. "We need to talk." I didn't reply. My mind was a mess, anger, shame, and this hollow ache I couldn't name. I kept replaying our life together. Lauren's laugh at our wedding, Matt toasting us, promising to always have my back. Now what? I had no plan, no idea how to face the kids or explain why Daddy wasn't home. Teaching the next day was torture. I could barely focus, my students' faces blurring as I fought back tears. By the end of the week, Lauren had moved out, taking Mia and Lucas to her sister's place. She didn't even ask me, just packed their bags and left a note. "We need space." Space? She'd already taken everything, my trust, my family, my sense of home. I sat in our empty house, staring at Lucas's half-built Lego castle, and realized this was just the beginning of the fight. Before the world fell apart, my life felt like a steady rhythm, predictable but comforting. I was Daniel Reed, the guy who showed up early to everything. Parent-teacher conferences, soccer practices, even our anniversary dinners. Lauren and I had been together for 13 years, married for 11, and I thought we'd cracked the code on balancing family and work. Our house in Boise was small, but ours, with a creaky porch swing where we'd sit after the kids were asleep, sipping cheap wine and planning our future. Mia was our spark plug, always begging for one more story at bedtime, while Lucas was quieter, obsessed with building intricate Lego cities. I'd spend hours with him, snapping pieces together, feeling like the dad I always wanted to be. Teaching high school math wasn't glamorous, but I loved it. Watching kids' faces light up when they finally got a tricky equation. My salary kept the lights on, but Lauren's marketing gigs paid for the extras. Mia's soccer camp, Lucas's art classes, our annual camping trip to McCall. Matt was part of that life, woven in like family. We'd been tight since college, back when we'd stay up debating who'd win in a fight, Batman or Spider-Man. over greasy pizza. He was the charismatic one, always with a new story or a quick joke. The guy who could make Lauren laugh when I was too tired to try. He'd come over for barbecues, play catch with Lucas, even help me repaint the garage last summer. I never thought twice about him being around so much. He was the godfather to our kids. The guy I'd call at 2 a.m. If my car broke down. Lauren trusted him too, or so I thought. She'd always been the ambitious one, working late on campaigns, traveling for client meetings. I admired her drive. Even if it meant I handled most of the bedtime routines, we weren't perfect. Money was tight sometimes, and we'd bicker about dumb stuff like whose turn it was to do dishes, but I thought we were solid. Looking back, I see how naive I was. Lauren and I had a routine, but it wasn't passionate. We'd stop talking about dreams, settling for logistics. Bills, schedules, grocery lists. I'd plan date nights, movies, dinner at our favorite Italian place. But she'd often cancel, citing deadlines. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She was my wife, the woman who cried with me when Mia was born, who laughed at my terrible puns. Matt was there through it all too, always showing up with a six-pack or a new board game for the kids. I thought his constant presence was loyalty. Now I wonder how long they were playing me. Our social circle was small but tight. We'd host game nights with a few neighbors and Matt, where Lauren would shine, charming everyone with her quick wit. I'd catch her and Matt exchanging glances, but I chalked it up to their shared sense of humor. I was the steady one, the guy who made sure everyone got home safe. While they were the life of the party, I didn't mind. I liked being the rock. My parents, still back in my hometown, would call every Sunday, proud of the life I'd built. "You're a good man, Daniel," my dad would say. I believed him. Money was our biggest stress. Lauren's income was unpredictable, and my teacher's salary wasn't exactly a windfall. We had a joint account, but she handled most of the finances since she was better with numbers. I trusted her to keep us afloat, even when she'd splurge on new clothes or a fancy client dinner. "It's for work," she'd say, and I'd nod, ignoring the nagging feeling that our savings weren't growing. Matt would sometimes cover our tab at dinner, saying, "You guys are family." I thought he was being generous. God, I was blind. That life, coaching Mia's team, building Lego castles with Lucas, trusting Lauren and Matt, felt like enough. I wasn't chasing some big dream. I just wanted to keep what we had. But that Tuesday afternoon, when I saw them in our bed, I realized the life I thought I had was a lie. Everything I'd built, everything I believed in, was about to be torn apart. Looking back, the signs were there, blinking like neon lights, but I was too trusting to see them. Lauren's late nights at work started about a year before everything blew up. She'd come home after 9 p.m., her makeup smudged, saying she'd been stuck in client meetings. I'd nod, heat up her dinner, and ask how her day went. She'd give vague answers. "Oh, just the usual chaos," and change the subject to the kids or bills. I thought she was just stressed. Her marketing job was demanding, and I didn't want to add to her load by questioning her. But there were moments that nagged at me, like when she'd get a text during dinner and angle her phone away, smiling faintly before typing back. "Work stuff," she'd mutter. I believed her. Even when those texts came at midnight. Matt's behavior shifted too. He'd always been around, but now he was at our house constantly, dropping off random gifts for Mia and Lucas, like cheap toys or candy, as if he needed an excuse to show up. I'd find him and Lauren laughing in the kitchen, their heads close together, and they'd pull apart when I walked in. "Just catching up," Matt would say, clapping me on the shoulder. I'd smile, ignoring the weird vibe, because he was my best friend. He'd never betray me, right? But then there were the work trips Lauren and Matt started taking together. She said Matt's startup was collaborating with her firm on a big campaign. They'd be gone for weekends, leaving me to handle the kids' soccer games and homework. I'd call to check in, and she'd sound distracted, saying, "We're swamped, Daniel. I'll call you later." She rarely did. I started feeling like a side character in my own life. Lauren would snap at me over little things, like forgetting to buy milk or leaving dishes in the sink. While she'd laugh off Matt's dumb jokes, I'd try to talk to her about it, but she'd brush me off. "You're overthinking, Daniel. Matt's just a friend." One night, after she canceled another date night, I found a receipt in her purse for a fancy restaurant in Seattle. dated the weekend of her last work trip. When I asked her about it, she got defensive. It was a client dinner. Daniel, stop being so paranoid. I backed off, feeling guilty for doubting her. Matt was there the next day, helping her fix her laptop, and they were all smiles. I felt like an outsider in my own home. The kids noticed something was off too. Mia asked why mommy was always gone, her big eyes searching mine for answers I didn't have. Lucas started clinging to me more, asking if mommy still loved us. I'd reassure them, but inside, I was starting to doubt. Lauren's excuses piled up. She was networking, closing a big deal. We're too tired to talk. Meanwhile, Matt started dropping hints that cut deeper than I realized. You're lucky to have Lauren, man, he'd say, his tone weirdly smug. She's a catch. I thought he was just being supportive. Now I see he was taunting me. The manipulation was subtle but relentless. Lauren started controlling our finances more tightly, saying she needed to manage our budget better. She'd transfer money from our joint account to her personal one, claiming it was for work expenses. I didn't question it. Her job brought in more than mine, and I trusted her. But our savings dwindled, and when I asked to see the accounts, she'd say, I've got it handled, Daniel, focus on teaching. Matt would back her up, saying I was too stressed to deal with money. It felt like they were tag-teaming me, keeping me in the dark while they planned their next move. By the time I caught them in our bed, I realized those red flags weren't just oversights. They were deliberate. Lauren and Matt had been pulling the strings for months, maybe years, and I'd been too blind to see it. The worst part? They weren't just betraying me. They were setting me up to lose everything. After I caught Lauren and Matt, my life unraveled faster than I could grasp. Lauren didn't just leave, she went nuclear. Within days, she'd moved the kids to her sister's place across town and served me with divorce papers. Her lawyer's letter claimed I was emotionally unstable and unfit to parent, citing my erratic behavior after finding them together. Erratic? I was a wreck, sure, but only because my wife and best friend had gutted me. She was twisting the truth to paint me as the villain. I tried calling her, begging to see Mia and Lucas, but she'd hang up or let the calls go to voicemail. The kids need stability. Her sister texted me once, stability? She'd ripped them from their home without a word. The emotional toll was brutal. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Lauren and Matt in our bed. Their shocked faces burned into my brain. I'd wake up sweating, my chest tight, wondering how I'd missed it. At work, I was a ghost. My students noticed. One even asked if I was sick. I'd mumble through lessons, my mind replaying every moment I'd trusted them. Colleagues started whispering, probably because Lauren had spread lies about me to mutual friends. Daniel's having a breakdown. I overheard at a staff meeting. I wanted to scream, but I just kept my head down. Then came the financial hit. I checked our joint account one morning, nearly empty. Lauren had drained over $20,000, leaving me with $800 to cover the mortgage, utilities, and my motel room. When I confronted her, she said it was her money from her job and she Hawkins for the kids. You're not getting a dime. She texted. Matt, of course, backed her up, claiming I'd mismanaged our finances. I couldn't afford a lawyer yet, so I was stuck, scrambling to cover bills while Lauren lived comfortably with Matt in a new apartment they'd rented together. I later found out she'd been siphoning money for months, funneling it to a secret account with Matt's help. They'd planned this. The worst was not seeing my kids. Lauren limited me to supervised visits, claiming I was unpredictable. Mia would cry, asking when she could come home. Lucas barely spoke, just hugged me tightly. Those visits broke me. I felt like a stranger to my own children. Lauren's lawyer pushed for full custody, using doctored stories about my anger issues. Friends we'd shared for years started siding with her, fed by her narrative that I'd pushed her away. Matt stopped answering my calls entirely, leaving me to stew in my anger and grief. I'd drive by our old house, now up for sale, and feel like I'd lost my entire identity. I started drinking too much, alone in my motel room, replaying every fight with Lauren, wondering if I'd failed her somehow. The shame was crushing. I'd been a good husband, a good dad, but now I was the guy whose wife cheated with his best friend. I stopped eating right, lost weight, and barely recognized myself in the mirror. My parents called, worried, but I couldn't face their pity. I was drowning in self-doubt, wondering if I deserved this, if I'd been too boring, too trusting. The pain Wasn't just losing Lauren, it was losing my kids, my home, my sense of who I was. I was falling apart, and Lauren and Matt were thriving, planning their new life while I scraped by. Rock bottom wasn't a moment. It was a slow, suffocating slide that left me hollow. A few months after Lauren left, I was a shell of myself, living in a one-bedroom apartment that smelled like stale coffee and regret. The walls were so thin I could hear my neighbor's TV blaring game shows all night, mocking my insomnia. My teacher's salary barely covered rent and the child support Lauren demanded, which left me eating instant noodles most nights. Our joint account was a ghost town. She drained over $20,000, leaving me with $800 to juggle bills and a motel room I'd stayed in before finding this place. I checked my bank balance daily, heart sinking as it dwindled, knowing I couldn't afford the lawyer I desperately needed. The custody battle crushed me most. Lauren's lawyer had convinced the judge I was an absent father, twisting my grief into instability. I got bi-weekly supervised visits, an hour each, in a sterile community center room that smelled like bleach. Mia's eyes were red every time, asking, "Why can't you come home, Daddy?" Lucas was worse. He'd barely speak, just hug me so tight it hurt, his small hands clutching my shirt. I tried to joke, bring their favorite snacks, but the supervisor's watchful eyes made me feel like a criminal. Lauren had painted me as a deadbeat, and the kids were slipping away. Mia once said, "Mom says you don't want us anymore." I choked back tears, swearing it wasn't true, but the doubt in her eyes gutted me. Work was a nightmare. I'd always loved teaching, but now I was a zombie, stumbling through lessons. My principal pulled me aside after I snapped at a student for talking in class, something I'd never done before. "Get it together, Daniel," she warned, handing me a formal write-up. I nodded, but my mind was elsewhere, replaying Lauren and Matt's social media posts. They'd moved into a sleek apartment, posting photos of my kids at the zoo, Matt pushing Lucas on a swing like he was their dad. Our old friends shared their posts, gushing about their cute family. I was erased, replaced, and the world seemed fine with it. Nights were the worst. I'd buy cheap whiskey, drinking alone while staring at old photos of Mia's soccer games or Lucas's birthday parties. I'd scroll through Lauren's lies on social media, her claiming she'd escaped a toxic marriage. Toxic? I'd spent years planning date nights, cooking dinners, tucking the kids in while she worked late. The betrayal wasn't just the affair. It was how she'd rewritten our life to make me the villain. I stopped calling my parents. Their worried voicemails felt like pity I couldn't handle. I'd lost 15 pounds, my clothes hanging off me, and I barely recognized the gaunt face in the mirror. One night, I hit my lowest. After too many drinks, I drove to Lauren's new place, parking across the street. I stared at the lit windows, imagining Mia and Lucas asleep, wondering if they missed me. I wanted to bang on the door, demand my kids back, but I just sat there, sobbing, picturing Matt reading them bedtime stories. I drove home, passed out, and woke to a voicemail from my lawyer. Lauren was pushing for more child support, claiming I was hiding income. I wasn't. I was barely scraping by. Then I learned she'd sold our house without my consent, pocketing half the profit. I had nothing left, no home, no savings, no family. I thought about disappearing, driving until I ran out of gas, leaving Boise behind. But Mia's voice, Lucas's hug, kept me tethered. Giving up would mean proving Lauren right, that I didn't deserve them. I couldn't let that happen. The shift didn't happen overnight. It was a spark that grew into a fire. During a supervised visit, Mia slipped me a crumpled drawing. Me, her, and Lucas holding hands under a rainbow. "No Lauren, no Matt. I want you back. Daddy," she whispered. Her voice breaking, Lucas nodded, his small hand squeezing mine. That moment cracked something open in me. I'd been drowning in Lauren's lies, letting her and Matt define me as a failure, but my kids still saw me as their dad. I had to fight for them, not just wallow in my pain. I started with the basics. I poured every bottle of whiskey down the sink, the smell making my stomach churn. Quitting drinking was brutal, nights were long, and I'd pace my apartment to fight the cravings. I replaced booze with running, hitting the Boise River greenbelt at dawn, my sneakers pounding out my anger. Each step cleared my head, reminded me I was still here. I reached out to Sarah, a colleague who'd stayed kind despite the rumors. Over coffee, she listened as I poured out my shame. "You need help, Daniel," she said gently, recommending a therapist. I hesitated. Therapy felt like admitting I was broken. But I went. The therapist, a gruff guy named Dr. Ellis, didn't sugarcoat it. "You're letting their story run your life. Take it back." His words hit like a punch. I'd been carrying Lauren's betrayal like a weight, blaming myself, but I started seeing how she and Matt had played me. I found a new lawyer, Tom, who worked on a payment plan because he believed in my case. He dug into Lauren's finances and uncovered her secret account with Matt, $30,000 siphoned from our savings, disguised as bonuses. Tom found texts proving their affair started over a year before I caught them. "This is gold," he said, grinning. "We're going to nail them." I started documenting everything. Every canceled visit, every lie Lauren told the kids, every time Matt yelled at them for mentioning me. I kept a journal, noting Mia's tears when Lauren wouldn't let her call me, Lucas's silence when Matt was around. It wasn't just for court, it was for me, proof I wasn't the monster they claimed. I leaned into being a dad, even with limited time. During visits, I brought Monopoly, played Mia's favorite pop songs, and helped Lucas build a Lego Millennium Falcon. I told them, "I'm fighting for you, always," and their hugs felt like a lifeline. At work, I forced myself to focus, staying late to grade papers and tutor kids. My principal noticed, giving me a nod instead of a warning. I reached out to old friends, swallowing my pride to tell my side. Some, like my buddy Chris from college, listened and apologized for believing Lauren's lies. Others didn't, but I stopped caring. I was done begging for scraps of loyalty. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was rebuilding. Therapy helped me see I'd internalized Lauren's narrative, thinking I'd failed as a husband. I hadn't. I'd been faithful, present, a damn good dad. The anger was still there, but it wasn't paralyzing. I had a purpose, getting my kids back and exposing Lauren and Matt's lies. Every step, every run, every court document, every smile from Mia and Lucas felt like taking my life back, piece by piece. I was done being the victim. With Tom, my lawyer, in my corner, we went all in. He filed motions to reopen the custody case, armed with evidence of Lauren's secret account and texts proving her affair with Matt predated our split. In court, I was nervous, my hands shaking as I faced the judge. I didn't just read a statement. I spoke from the gut. "My kids are my world," I said, voice cracking. "Lauren lied about me, took our savings, and kept my kids from me. Look at Mia's drawing, she wants her." "Dad." I held up her rainbow sketch, my heart pounding. The judge's face softened, and she ordered a new custody evaluation. I got unsupervised visits 2 weekends a month to start. No more sterile rooms or watchful supervisors. Those weekends were gold. I took Mia and Lucas to the Boise Zoo. Laughing as Lucas mimicked the penguins, we made pancakes with too much syrup, danced to Mia's pop music, and stayed up watching Spider-Man movies. Mia opened up about life with Lauren and Matt. How he'd snap when they mentioned me. How Lauren was always stressed. "Matt's not like you, Dad," she said once, hugging me. Lucas started talking more, asking if he could keep his Lego sets at my place. "Soon," I said, my resolve hardening. I was proving I was their dad, not the ghost Lauren tried to make me. Therapy kept me grounded. Dr. Ellis helped me unravel the shame I'd carried, thinking I'd driven Lauren to cheat. "She made her choices," he said. "You didn't fail, you were enough." I started believing it. Sarah, my colleague turned friend, was a rock, bringing me coffee during late grading sessions, listening when I needed to vent. She'd been through a messy divorce too, and her quiet strength inspired me. I took on a side gig tutoring online, saving every dollar for legal fees and a bigger apartment. My parents visited, their hugs reminding me I wasn't alone. "You're tougher than this, Daniel," Dad said, and for the first time, I felt it. Work turned around too. I poured my energy into teaching, creating new lesson plans that got my students excited about math. My principal noticed, promoting me to department head after our test scores spiked. I started joking again, tossing out cheesy math puns that made my students groan and laugh. I wasn't just scraping by, I was building a life I could be proud of, one Mia and Lucas could count on. I reconnected with more friends, like Chris, who invited me to game nights again. Some still believed Lauren's lies, but I stopped chasing their approval. I had my kids, my purpose, and a growing sense of strength. Lauren and Matt's grip on me was fading. Tom uncovered more dirt. Lauren had lied about her income to dodge taxes, and Matt was dodging creditors after his startup tanked. Their perfect life was cracking, and I was ready to take back what was mine. Every court date, every weekend with my kids, every step forward felt like reclaiming my power. I wasn't just surviving, I was fighting, and I was winning. The final custody hearing was a reckoning. Tom came prepared, laying out everything. The secret account with $30,000 Lauren and Matt stole, text proving their affair, and a letter from Mia's teacher about her anxiety living with them. I took the stand, heart pounding, and told the judge, I've never stopped fighting for my kids. Lauren lied to take them from me, but I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. Mia's drawing sat on the table, a quiet testament to what we'd lost. The judge didn't just listen, she acted. She granted me 50-50 custody, week on, week off, effective immediately, when I hugged Mia and Lucas outside the courtroom. Their smiles lit me up. We get to stay with you, Dad, Lucas said, his voice brighter than I'd heard in months. Lauren's face was blank. Matt didn't even show. They're perfect. Life imploded soon after. Tom's investigation exposed Lauren's financial lies, and Matt's cheating came to light. He'd been seeing a coworker for months. Lauren found out when the coworker posted photos online, and Matt moved out, leaving her to cover their expensive rent alone. She called me one night, crying, asking for a loan. I'm struggling, Daniel, she said. I remembered her note. We need space. In the years she'd lied, you made your choices, I said, hanging up. I didn't feel joy, just closure. Their lies had caught up with them. I moved to a 3-bedroom house with a room for Mia and one for Lucas, painted their favorite colors, blue for her, green for him. We built new traditions, Friday pizza nights with extra cheese, Saturday hikes along the Boise River, Sunday Lego marathons where Lucas showed off his latest spaceship. Mia started talking about school again, her soccer goals, her friends. This feels like home, she said one night, curled up on the couch. Lucas nodded, showing me a new drawing of us three. No one else. I framed it above the fireplace, a reminder of what I'd fought for. Work was solid. I was thriving as department head, mentoring new teachers and planning a summer math camp. Sarah and I started dating, taking it slow. Her laugh, her steadiness, reminded me I could feel again, but my kids came first. Lauren's life kept spiraling. She lost her top clients after her financial mess leaked, and she was stuck in a dead-end job. Matt skipped town, dodging debts and drama. I didn't gloat. I was too busy living. The takeaway hit me late one night, watching Mia and Lucas sleep in their new rooms. Betrayal can shatter you, but it doesn't define you. Lauren and Matt tried to erase me, but I rewrote my story. I learned you can't control others' choices, only how you rise from the ashes. Sometimes, the trash takes itself out. You just have to be there to watch it burn, then keep building your life, stronger than before.